right. Right now, we are continuing to follow breaking news out of the Middle East, where the grounds of the U.S. consulate in Dubai were struck by what sources say was a suspected Iranian drone. The Dubai government announcing no one was hurt. The fire has been extinguished. This all coming as other U.S. embassies across the region have also been closed due to increased threats from Iran. Joining me now to discuss, CNN military analyst, retired Admiral James Stavridis. He is, of course, also the former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Admiral, I'm always so grateful to have your perspective here in the arena. The question I had watching that smoke rise from this hit is, and maybe it's unanswerable, but I'd really love to know kind of your thoughts on what is the likeliest scenario here. Is this the worst it's going to get, or what is possible next?
I'll answer that momentarily, but on my last few appearances, I've been talking about our brave military men and women. Hey, we ought to all hit pause and think about our diplomats, our State Department, Foreign Service officers, civilian employees. They are at risk, as you're seeing on the screen right now. So we ought to be thinking about them as well as the military.
So important.
Kasie,
Thank
where
you
is
for
this
that.
going? I'll give you some percentages. And we could probably argue about the exact percentage, but let's do the best case outcome first. I think best case would be the bombing goes on for a couple of weeks. Iran is deeply weakened, the government, and then the people come out and really affect regime change. Is that possible? I think it's about a 30% chance at best, but it's certainly not impossible. And I think the mullahs are deeply worried about it. 70% chance, here's the bad news, Kasie, 70% chance this regime will hunker down, wait for the worst of it to be over, and then they kind of have some choices about whether they want to try to work a little bit more with us or just be as hardline as they have always been. I think, unfortunately, there's a higher percentage chance we're looking at even worse following what we have now. So bottom line, I think the risk is going to go up before it comes down.
Admiral, is there someone in either the current regime under your 70% scenario, or alternatively, is there also someone in that 30% scenario who you think could emerge to lead Iran? And what's the best case scenario for the United States?
Extremely unclear in both sides. People will talk about the son of the Shah, Reza Pahlavi. Perhaps he could be a transition figure. I don't see the people of Iran seeking to reestablish the peacock throne in Tehran. But perhaps he could be a centralizing figure for the resistance. The resistance itself has no clear leadership that I'm aware of. And then over on the other side, yeah, there was a pretty defined pecking order, a depth chart, if you will. But U.S. strikes have consistently gone after those leaders. And you heard almost the resignation in President Trump's voice when he says, well, we have some people we thought we could work with, but they're all dead now. So we're going to have to wait and see what bubbles up over the next few weeks. Because again, Kasie, I think these strikes both ways are going to go on for a couple of weeks, and probably until Iran starts to exhaust their inventory. That's still weeks away, I think.
Sir, we have seen a number of different messages from the administration about why we did this, and not just why, but why we did it when we did it. If you were going to articulate why the U.S. went to war with Iran now, how would you explain it? Do you understand why the administration did this now?
I don't think anybody has a clear sight picture of that. But if you kind of pull the different threads of conversation out, what emerges is a sympathy for the protesters and a belief that perhaps that 30% scenario could unfold. Secondly, a sense that the nuclear program was at least starting to bubble again. Third, that the ballistic missile threat was still very, very real. And then fourth, very pragmatically speaking, Kasie, you could say they have never been weaker, the Iranians. So in this moment, we could choose to degrade their military capabilities in the most effective and wide-ranging way. I think it's a tough case to make because it has so many different tendrils kind of attached to it. But I think the articulation is kind of in that basket. I'll give you a final thought, by the way, to watch, and that is the Strait of Hormuz. Here you have this very narrow waterway. I've sailed it dozens and dozens of times. Under the best of circumstances, it's a challenging navigational voyage. Under Iranian fire, it's very difficult. And I think that at some point, opening the Strait of Hormuz is going to become a real priority that'll fold in to the other things we're hearing. Energy cost of oil, I think is going to end up being part of the rationale.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was at the Munich Security Conference a couple weeks ago, I was talking to one Republican who has been in the president's ear urging him to do this. And one of the arguments that was made to me was that this is something that demonstrates strength to China's Xi and Russia's Putin, and that not doing something like this, especially after the kind of buildup that we had, would potentially send the wrong signal to those leaders. In your view, if you are Xi, if you are Putin, you're sitting in Beijing, you're sitting in Moscow, what are you thinking and how are you feeling about the United States and its adversarial strength?
I'll give you two thoughts on that, and good for you for raising China and Russia. They're kind of missing in the conversations I'm seeing these days. Point one, very pragmatic one. If you are Xi or Putin, you hate us, but you have to respect the military capability of the United States. And it's Midnight Hammer, it's the snatch and grab on Maduro, and now a pretty massive bombing campaign. And yeah, we'll have some missteps and some foot faults here and there. But when you look at the span of what the U.S. military has done in the last 2 months, it's pretty extraordinary, and it will get your attention in Beijing and Moscow. Secondly, in terms of are we demonstrating strength and so on, I don't think that's a reason for going to war. But I would add to the argument you just made, or the individual you spoke with just made, is by weakening Iran, you are weakening Russia. You're weakening China. China looks at Iran as a big investment opportunity. Russia looks at Iran as an arms and technology supplier. Many of the drones flying in Ukraine today were made in Iran. So there's a geopolitical pragmatism that can affix itself to these strikes in terms of degrading both Russia and China.
Really interesting. Admiral James Stavridis, sir, always grateful to have you. Thank you so much for bringing your perspective.
Thanks, Kasie.
All right.